podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hello, I'm your host, Les Bubka. Welcome to Anxious Black Belt, a podcast that focuses on karate, mental health, and everything in between. If you enjoy our content and would like to support us, best way to do that is to listen to another episode, share it with your friends, and leave us a review. All this stuff helps the mysterious algorithm to introduce our podcast to new audience. Thank you for joining me, and let's listen to the episode. When I was publishing Anxious Black Belt, my first book, I was dread with an anxiety. I was so afraid of judgment and what people gonna say, and I'm gonna get negative comments, and people just won't like it. That it was a paralyzing thing. It took me some time to master the courage to actually publish it. I'm glad I done it. I couldn't expect such a success, and I mean success for me. The book opened so many doors, opened so many friendships, took me to seminars, talks, podcasts, articles, and so on and so on. Plus, obviously, it contributes to my bills and it pays the bills. Sales are still going strong, which I'm very, very happy. But the anxious black belt always filled me with an anxiety and always been worried about how it's gonna be taken by general public. And same is with this project now, because I tried to do it 2 years ago. I tried to record a anxious black belt audiobook, and I chickened out from it. I kind of put it away, use any excuse to not do it. It's too complicated. You need the equipment. Whatever comes to my mind, I used to not do it. But recently I looked into it again, uh, forced myself to do it. I opened auditions on ACX, I think it is. And my requirements were to have a well-mannered, calm man with British accent. And funny because the first audition I received, it was American super excitable woman, followed by a British Indian gentleman. So those two didn't fit at all, and I got about 40 auditions with people, all sorts of different voices. Some fitted better than the others, but nothing matched how I was imagining Anxious Black Belt to sound. And also, talking to my friends, they said, "No, you have to read it. You have to be your voice because it's your personal story. It's a autobiography, and the best way to do it would be for you to read it." So, with that thing done, I decided, yes, I'm gonna record it. So I look on the equipment requirements, and actually it turns up that this mic which I'm recording on for the podcast does a good job. So I bought myself a editing software, which I'm using anyway for podcast. My laptop is a coping with the amount of editing and stuff, and I'm taking it in small chunks. So it's going ahead, and I'm hoping that in few weeks time I'm gonna finish recording if nothing else gonna come out, because last couple of weeks is just one thing after the other. And yesterday kids gave me their cold, so I'm recording now with high fever and not feeling great. Hey ho, life go on and we need to push forward. So yes, I'm gonna be I recorded some stuff, and I would like to ask you kindly if you would like to listen to it a little bit and give me a little bit of a feedback. It is a challenging stuff, uh, reading out loud in English It's a little bit challenging for me, so I need to read the chapters several times till I get it right. Pronunciation is a problem sometimes. I don't know why did I use such a complicated words for that book, but some of the words I have to take 5 to 6 attempts to get it right. So there's quite a lot of editing involved in it as well. But so far, all the tests I done, it passes the requirements for the ACX, so I can do the book myself. Okay, so if you don't want to listen to it, you might switch it off now. If you want to listen to a short chapter, um, here it is. Chapter 4. About me. I was born into a very average family. My mother was a printer, and my father was a butcher and then became a builder. Memories of my childhood begin around the time I started primary school. My mother tells me that when I was very young, I was fearless and outgoing. As she says, I was the only child around the block sledding in a minus 20 centigrade frost. I had no problem communicating with others, and neither did my brother, who is 3 years my junior. The difference between me and my brother is that my brother is much more laid back than I am, and he didn't take the criticism of our father seriously. I, on the other hand, as a more mindful boy, took his criticism to heart, overthinking them and nurturing these negative thoughts. Running on buildings. As with most young boys, you could say that I was careless. A great deal of our adventures reflected this carelessness. One of our favorite childhood games certainly epitomized this trait. Essentially, we played tag, but it was not a schoolyard race or a garden frolic. Our version of tag was a little more foolish and considerably more dangerous. It was absolutely not a game played by anyone who suffers from an anxiety. Our game of tag involved chasing each other on a hazardous ground, ranging from garage roofs and building sites to abandoned factories or the forest near an unused quarry. The rules were simple. Catch one of your friends and he has to chase the others. And naturally, with boys of our age, the braver we were, the more respect we earned. It was quite akin to a modern parkour, and perhaps we were trailblazers, albeit one with no sense of danger, and of course, unlike modern parkour, we were out to catch someone. Being around 9 to 11 years of age, we were not thinking about the dangers of this type of activity. We took big risks for a moment of fun. We went everywhere to play this game, and in our mind there was nowhere that was off limits. Even though our trespassing was illegal, but the sense of danger just increased our sense of fun. Naturally, if my mom and dad knew about this activity, they would not be very impressed, and I imagine they might ground me for life. Once we went to play on a building site. The site was to be a block of flats in our neighborhood, and it stood 3 stories high. It was too tempting, with its array of building equipment just left laying around and a massive pile of sand, about 2 meters tall. It was perfect for a new and daring game, a challenge to root out the bravest among us. The challenge was to see who could perform the best jump from the highest part of that building. We all participated, and amazingly, none of us got hurt, although knees and elbows were worse for wear. One day we were spotted by the security guard, and I still remember my heart pounding in my chest whilst we were running away from our thrilling illegal playground. One of our favorite places to play was in the abandoned leather factory, about 5 minutes walk from our flat. This was seriously dangerous. With most of the equipment removed, nearly all of the electrical cables were stripped down to be skinned and sold on the scrapyard. The whole structure of the building was falling apart. The roofs of that factory were so fragile that we had to walk on it as if we were negotiating a field of landmine. You never knew when it would go. How exciting it was to have a game there. Our parents did warn us not to go there, as it might end up badly for one of us. But obviously we knew better. And we spent a lot of time in that factory. It was perfect place to play war games, good guys and bad guys. A few years later, the ruins were flattened as if had become a place for drinking and drug taking. And so our childhood was flattened too, although perhaps it was best for everybody. In the area where I was born, we have a great Jurassic Park, rocky with ancient forests, a lot of family-friendly walks, and hardly any dinosaurs. Adjacent to our park is an army base and an old quarry, where the city extracted its limestone. The quarry sank to a depth of around 30-40 meters. Digging there had stopped a few years before I was able to explore, but the workers had abandoned all the equipment down there. Diggers, lorries, pumps, everything. Over time, it started to fill with water, and by the time our band came to explore this deep, enticing place, there were small lakes dotted around the landscape. What a place for us boys to play, with crystal clear water to swim in, high walls to jump off. We spent our summer holidays as if we were in a dream. At that time, I was very keen to explore new ideas, trying different activities and sports in my young life. I had a short episode of learning to become a world famous drummer. Unfortunately, after 2 weeks, I had no illusion that this wouldn't happen, as I'm deaf as wood. So it was time to try scouts. And yet again, after 2 weeks, I was expelled as I refused to wear the uniform. These are the memories I have when I can honestly say that I was fearless and completely oblivious to a failure. Just a happy young lad. However, with only few events, all of this would change. A robbery, a friend's accident, and my father's alcoholism. Only now I am starting to understand why my whole life was full of fears and stress, and how martial arts helped me to fight them and overcome my insecurities. So that's the book. Uh, I hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any suggestions, what I could improve, please shoot me an email or comment somewhere on one of the social media sites. The email to contact me gonna be in the description below or show notes, depending when you're listening to it. Um, I don't know. I still not a fan of my voice. I'm not sure if I like it or not. Um, I don't know if timing of reading is correct or not, but that will be to something that you can hopefully help me with and guide me a little bit. Like I said, this is a challenge for me. This is the uncharted waters for me, and I hope that there's going to be a third option for people to be familiar with Anxious Black Belt. We've got a paperback, ebook, and there's going to be audiobook. So people who have got problems with eyesight can enjoy it as well. And speaking of the projects, I put myself on Uncharted Waters again. Just released the first course on Naihanchi, so it's compilation of the um, seminars putting together to give you a in-depth analysis of Naihanchi my way. I'm surprised it's actually selling quite well. I am just halfway through the Seipai course as well. And based after last week's response to my Karate for Mental Health toolkit for coaches seminar part, we're gonna be doing a toolkit for a coaches course. I just laid out the how it's gonna look like, what materials need to be included in there, and hopefully I'm gonna start recording in a few weeks. But at the moment, this is the main project I want to focus. I want to finish it. I want to see if I can publish it and see what the feedback gonna be, and kind of fight with my anxiety and fear of judgment, and we'll see how it goes. Thank you for your time again, and till the next one. Well done for listening to all of it. You are a superhero. Thank you very much for your support. And if you could leave us that review on a podcast platform, that would be amazing. I appreciate your time, appreciate your support, and I wish you all the best. Until the next one.
Sports Social Podcast Network.